Alright everyone, in this video we are going to be discussing pattern sizes and tempos and some things that you should consider when working on these two aspects of your conducting. So let's go ahead and start with pattern size. We're going to go ahead and review the three hinges that we use and the different scenarios that we can use for each of them. So let's go ahead and start with our wrist hinge. You'll remember this is the first one. This one is small. It's good for moments where there are softer dynamics. It's great for when you want to get the band's attention, because once you move smaller, they're going to hone in on you. And I would really encourage you to use this hinge as much as you can where it's appropriate. It will really help you save energy in your conducting. It will create that contrast that will catch the band's attention and help them focus in maybe a little bit more on what you're trying to communicate in your conducting. So don't be afraid to use this one, maybe more than you think you should, but always where it's appropriate. The next hinge that we incorporate is the elbow. So we start moving up the arm. This is good for your mezzo forte range. If you're just trying to create kind of a neutral conducting pattern, it's just kind of in a neutral part of the music. This is good for your stands conducting as well, if that's something that you do in your program. And then the last hinge that we incorporate is the shoulder. Now, it's really easy for us to make this hinge our default, but I would encourage you to really try to stay with your elbow and your wrist hinges, because this will wear you out really quickly and it will take away from the bigger moments of your music if you're using it all the time. So you really want to try to reserve this shoulder hinge as much as you can. Now let's go ahead and talk about tempos as well. So if we're working in a slower tempo, we want to keep our pattern bigger. This allows us to use all of our space. We're not rushing through the tempos like we might want to. And it helps us really dig into the musicality that's often found in the slower tempos of our shows. So, slower tempos, bigger pattern. As we get faster, we're going to move our conducting patterns to be smaller and more concise. So this is really when that elbow hinge and wrist hinge is going to come in handy. If I'm doing a 4 pattern, I want everything to just be in this nice little box. Because if I'm trying to do a really big pattern, you can see that that looks kind of goofy. It's not very efficient. You're going to get tired really fast. And there's no musicality in this. It just looks frantic and hectic. So I'm going to want to use a smaller pattern. It's going to help me keep my tempo. I'm not getting worn out as fast, and it's really easy to focus on. So as a general rule of thumb, slower tempos, bigger pattern. Faster tempos, smaller pattern.